Hey everyone, it's Amy at Dragon's Apothecary. Welcome to this week's Oils and Oracles. I'm very happy you're here. If you're new, welcome. I do an oracle reading every Friday and every full moon. And what's unique about my oracle readings is that they also contain a tie-in to essential oils. So you not only get the guidance of the card, but you get some additional support with essential oils to go with them. So we're going to dive in for this week's reading. I pulled three cards, one for this weekend, one for next week, and then one from the universe, okay? And this week I'm using the feminine cards. Very strong women in this deck. I really enjoy it, learning about these ladies. So the first one is Rita of Caskia. I hope I said that right. And this is what we need this weekend. She is the patroness of impossible causes. And it's talking about powerful chances of possibility. Okay, so let's learn a bit about her. So she believed that the power of prayer can shift what appears to be impossible. So having faith, aligning to your higher power, time in prayer. So she was born in Italy in 1381. Of nobility, she is associated with bees because as a child it was said that they swarmed her but never stung her. And bees are symbolic of Mary and the diligent work that must be done to gather honey, okay, or the immortal sweetness of Christ's love. So she had wanted to become a nun, but she was forced to marry at age 12, and she had her first child at age 12. Her husband was also wealthy and from noble life, but he had a lot of enemies. So she endured a lot of abuse through that relationship in her marriage, a lot of infidelities, but she kind of kept true to her faith, and she converted him to her religion, and he renounced his family feud as a result. Now, even though he had become this religious man and the feud in his family continued, and after his death and her sons died, she went and entered the monastery finally, and she was given that condition that her family had to reconcile with the family that had killed her husband before she could go and become a nun. So she prayed and prayed for this because obviously it was very touchy and sensitive and a big deal, right? To forgive those that really bring those kind of pains to your life, right? So this was around the time the bubonic plague happened, and at the time several members of both families died as a result of that. So as a result of all this loss, they agreed to reconcile this feud that had been going on for a long time. So she was able to enter the monastery at age 36. Okay. Now, she, at age 60, this is where it gets interesting. At age 60, she was praying and meditating, and it said that a ray of light pierced between her eyes. And the burn from that remained until her death of tuberculosis in 1457. Okay, so let's talk about what all this means. She obviously had a pretty rough life with a lot of conflict, but it's her card is about miracles, and it didn't seem possible that she was going to have any kind of peace in her life, right, and overcome these challenges. But even when there's harm done to us, it doesn't mean that we can't heal. It doesn't mean that we can't come forward. It doesn't mean we can't have a good life, right? Or even find that way to forgive in those situations. So her card is asking us to draw our fierce ability to, believe in higher power and that miracles can happen, and to never give up on what we want for ourselves. And she's suggesting that the path to what we desire is our belief that it is possible to have it. Okay, so it's letting go of self-limiting beliefs and things that are in our way, because despite any of that, things can still happen that we really, really want. Okay, so it's pretty great story, honestly. So I aligned some very thought-provoking oils with this card. Okay, again, because when you're dealing with challenges or thinking things are impossible, we can really start to let that weigh on us. And when there's challenges that really seem like they are never going to end, that too can weigh us down and make us feel like, oh, this is never going to be able to happen, or I'm going to have to forego this dream that I have. And that's simply not true. Okay. So the oils I put with this: rosemary, Roman chamomile, and blue tansy. Now let me tell you why. All three of those oils are very, very gentle. Okay, they're soothing, they're uplifting, they remind us who we are. They let us know everything is going to be okay, right? Even when they don't seem, it's impossible to think that something could be okay in the situation we're in. These oils help support that change in mindset, to have faith, to continue believing that it's going to be possible, to draw on our strength and not forget who we are, because we're stronger than we give ourselves credit for. And that, never give up on yourself. Okay, I love these oils for that. All right, so we're going to talk about what we need next week. And we've got another patroness who, I don't know that her story is similar to the first card, but she is Catherine Labori, and she is the patroness of miraculous healing. Okay, so we just had this big conversation about this Rita person who had a very challenging life, lots of abuse and bad things that happened in her life, and loss that would be very hard to forgive and overcome. Well, now we've got the card of healing. Okay, so let me tell you about this lady. Of course, she is the patroness of miraculous healing, so you can already see where this is going to go. But she embodies our capacity to facilitate our own healing. And so she was born in France in 1806, so long after Rita was here. And when she was 9 years old, she picked up a statue of the Virgin Mary after her mother's funeral and said with a kiss, "Now you will be my mom." So as a young woman, she became a member of the nursing order of St. Vincent de Paul in Paris. And she chose this order after she had a vision of St. Vincent's heart in the church of Rue de Blanc. Now in 1830, she had a vision of Mary standing in the Visca Piezas in rays of sunlight. And streaming from the center of her open palms was this light, okay? And she asked Mary in the vision, why don't some of the rays reach the earth? And so Mary said to her, "These are graces for which people forgot to ask." Okay, so Catherine was instructed in this vision to create a miraculous medal based on the vision of Mary. And all who wore these medals, it is believed they would receive great success and receive great graces. And this became wildly popular throughout Paris and different sects of Christianity at that time. And a lot of us still wear these medals, right? And it's the little Mary. If you're in Catholic religion, you know what I'm talking about. It's these little necklaces that have an emblem of Mary on them. So we still wear these today. And it was all inspired by this vision that Catherine had. So what this card is telling us is when we feel, it can feel effortless to ask for help for someone else, but it's really, really hard to ask for help for ourselves. And, we can really just pray and pray and pray and pray for miracles for someone else. But when it comes to us, we have a difficult time asking for help. And we lack that self-worth to realize that we can ask for that. We can ask for so much more than we do. And ultimately, there's no difference between praying for our needs and the needs of our loved ones. Okay? They're both super important. And there's so many miracles in the world and blessings that we simply, that don't come to fruition because we don't ask for them. Okay? So this card is telling you, ask and you will find. The suffering is optional. You don't have to suffer. You got to ask for healing. So ask for what you need and let your heart shift to receive it. That's the important trick there. So, but realize too, healing may not come in the way we thought we would be healed, right? So you got to be open to all possibilities of what this is happening. All right, so oils I put with this one because this is talking about healing, right? So there's 3 oils that I feel like are really powerful when you talk about healing. There's a doTERRA blend called Console, which is it's in the emotional aromatherapy blends, and you place it over your heart. And it is so powerful for healing emotional hurts. Geranium is another healing oil, and it is so beautiful for our skin, for our emotional support. Again, this is an oil you can put over your heart for that healing there too. And then the last oil I put with this was Helichrysum. Helichrysum is a powerful healing oil for wounds, for scars, particularly those really deep hurts that physically or mentally we need to heal from, and it takes a lot longer to recover from them. Helichrysum is wonderful for that. Okay, so next week it's about asking for help and starting that healing process. Okay, we got one more card, and this is from the universe. And this is Andamaya Ma. And she is the joy permeated mother. Okay, that's what she's known as. She represents the essence of expansive joy when it comes to remembering who we really are. And her name means beautiful one. Okay, she was born in the late 19th century in what is now known as Bangladesh. And her family questioned her mental stability because she was always happy, which I don't know why anyone would think that was bad, but she was always happy. And they really thought there was something mentally wrong with her because of that. What a shame. So she was married to a man at 13 years old, and he supported her life as a mystic and a saint. And she created her own following and became known as this kind of mother of her order. And she thought of all her followers as her children. And she refused the name guru, so she preferred more of this motherly type role or label. Okay? So she kind of bridged that movement that was only previously given to men in terms of spiritual guidance and authority. So she was one of the first women to bridge that area in religious practices. So this card means that we need to become more aware of our true self, and that, she her sense of always being happy is the self-realization that we should all have, that of becoming our more self-conscious self, and that true happiness is possible when we go through that process, and when we find our true calling and purpose, we can take actions towards that goal, and everything just kind of falls in place. Okay, and there's bliss in every experience as long as we detach from the chaos that surrounds us sometimes, right? So being true to ourselves, living in our own bubble in that situation, and staying true to the path we've set out to cover. So, and that joy really is at the core of who we are, and we need to let that out more. That's a pretty good message, right? Who doesn't need more happiness in their life? And I think it relates to those other 2 cards where we talked about healing and not giving up on ourselves. So the oils I put with this one, I put petitgrain, Siberian fir, and grapefruit. Now these three oils, petitgrain and grapefruit, are obviously citrus, but they relate to our ability to experience joy, promote the healing and balance that allows us to let loose and feel more like ourselves. And Siberian fir gives us that root centeredness in our feelings so that we're not, we can be happy, but we can feel safe being happy because sometimes, we're kind of hard, we don't want to let our guard down, and because we're like waiting for the other shoe to drop. And this card is saying, that's BS. Let it go and just be happy. So there you go. That's our reading for this October 9th. Go on over to Dragon Spit Apothecary. If you ever want a personal reading, you can schedule those with me. But give me a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any more of these readings, okay? Talk to you soon.